1-2. Cedon drives one high and deep into left field. It is back. It is gone. Cedon, say goodbye. A bomb, a 2-run shot, and the Red Sox lead it 3-1.
Two hosts and an enforcer. It's Rich and Ken with Ted Johnson.
You know why Will Flemming is one of the best in the business? It's because he doesn't fake it. When he's pissed off, you can hear it in his voice.
Yeah.
And last night was sweet release, as you heard in that clip right there. After day of just people showing up at the park wearing bags on their head and just awful baseball with people being left on base. I swear to you, those clips we were playing, I actually started to feel bad for Will. And joining us right now, right here on the hotline, we've got the great Will Flemming, who does all the calls here on WEI. Will, I got to be honest, I started feeling for you. I almost wanted to send you like a Vermont teddy bear or something. It was getting a little depressing, to be quite honest.
I must be doing something wrong. First of all, Rich, welcome to the station. And I would hope that over time you are able to emote the same way that I am, how annoyed you are with Ken and with Ted. So
he does that daily.
I've already been there.
Oh,
I'm holding in a lot of rage. It will pop out one moment when nobody is expecting it. So, Will, this has been like a wild month. I mean, ever since the Alex Cora thing went down, being in the booth and being around the team, what has it been like just watching how this team has tried to navigate their way through such a weird period of time for these guys?
It's been really wild, I will tell you that. I mean, it's just a totally different experience. I remember the day after it happened when the Red Sox fire half their staff, and you're standing around the cage talking to Roman Anthony, and you look over and you see 6 coaches you've never met before. I mean, I know Chad Epperson really well. I've been around him through his tours in the minor leagues, but all these young hitting coaches, players, and coaches are trying to learn a new staff and a new group and a new program all over again. So it's been totally different. And listen, we had Trevor's story on last night, and he didn't come out and say it, but I do think it's worth kind of reflecting on the idea that it was incredibly... I mean, it's gutsy, and Craig Breslow, had the idea that this was the way to save this season, and that the jury's still out on that, right? I mean, the results will be proven on that, but it is an unprecedented thing in midstream of a season to just say to all your players who've spent months and years with a staff to just say, we're starting over, and here are a bunch of guys really very few of you know at all, and they don't know you, and they don't know your routines, so... we all developed such great relationships with Alex Cora and with Jason Varitek and with Pete Fatsi and with Kyle Hudson and all of those guys that it was just kind of bizarre to be a part of it. And now it's 2 years running where something like that has happened. I mean, last year on the plane to Seattle when Devers gets traded, everybody's just kind of like stops dead in their tracks. So it's clearly a mark of this administration, for lack of a better term. They are not afraid to make bold moves, and we'll see whether this one truly pans out.
Okay, now speaking of that, bold moves, my man Rich here is not buying that Breslow will do something bold to add some offense to this lineup. And you mentioned Devers. He was bold there. He's been bold with Crochet. He's had a couple of bold moments. Can you convince Rich that something is going to happen in the next few months, trade-wise?
No, I can't.
Come on.
Suck it, Ken.
I hope so, right? But, I mean, how can you ever be certain about anything? I would say, Ken, that right now baseball is such a different game where these modern GMs all feel sort of the same way. And I feel like the way the game works nowadays, the biggest and most impactful deals happen in the off-season because there's more time. I feel like these guys nowadays need 55 phone calls to make something happen. And when it's pressurized and the deadline is creeping up on you, the other thing you have to remember is there are more teams in it nowadays, and everybody feels like they're within. Look at the Red Sox. Everybody's within like 3 games of a playoff spot in the American League. So there's fewer teams that are willing to just move parts and sell off and make deals. And I think that this new wave of baseball executives, they're so reluctant to trade prospects. And I'll use the word overvalue. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I think the modern GM is too reluctant to trade away guys with promise for proven commodities. And sometimes that works out. I think most of the time it does not. But I just think it's much, much, much harder nowadays to make huge, blockbuster deals at the deadline.
Will, with this team, is there value in protest? And what I mean by that is this seems like an ownership that does not like the perception of people wearing bags over their head on television, like, taking up half the screen like they were the other night. I know that there was the shot of John Henry who's listening to the crowd, and you could read his lips saying, oh, they're saying sell the team. And then almost immediately after that, that's when Alex Cora was let go. It does seem that that's something they respond to. Is there value in protest by fans when they don't like the product they see?
Fans can do whatever they want, right? I mean, they pay the ticket price. They come in here and they pay for parking and concessions. I think those shots are so overblown. I mean, I'm around John Henry a lot.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what he looks like a lot of the time. And so I think it's really easy on social media to sort of like, Photoshop, not even Photoshop, but you know what I mean? Like just to clip things together and say, oh my God, because the fans are doing this, he looks like this. And that's the reason. I just don't think that the two are connected at all. I would tell you that John and Tom and Mike and everybody who owns the team, whether or not you agree with the decisions they've made, and look, they are wide open to the idea that there are missteps and they want this passionate fan base to engage in that. I don't think that the narrative that somehow they're not involved, they don't care, they're not engaged, that's just ludicrous. I mean, think about what they've done. They just fired the manager and an all-time franchise legend in Jason Varitek. Like, clearly they're paying attention. John flew to Kansas City last year, point blank, asked Rafi Devers to play first base. Rafi said no, and he said, okay, you're not going to be here much longer. So I would not read too much into those video shots, those clips. Look, they don't need to hear the fans say it. They don't need the fans to chant anything to know how unhappy everybody here is. I would say that I think that the more the Red Sox don't get it on track, don't get it going, it's probably likelier that massive change is coming. And again, I've said this like 100 times, and I really believe it. I think the job of any great owner is to hire people to run your sport operation. You just totally empower them, and you say, all right, whatever you say, whatever contracts you want to sign, we'll do that. Whatever trades you want to make, we'll do that. What staff you want to have, we're going to do that. And I definitely think that's what John and Tom have done here. And so now it's totally Craig Breslow on the line. So that, to me, is the more interesting question, whether, Craig, who is so steadfast in his belief about what this roster can be, what the path forward is for this team. Look, the pitching and defense, they got that right. I mean, the pitching has started to get much better. The defense has been phenomenal. But the question becomes, do they have enough hitters? And did they misread that part of it? Did they get enough hitters? That remains to be seen. And to me, if you're in John's office right now and asking him straight up, he wants to see that come to fruition. And if not, I think Craig, he's very much like everybody who works for this organization, whether you're a player, a broadcaster, a manager, every day, everybody's job is being evaluated.
Okay, so Will, I'm just going to respond two things to what you just said, because, you mentioned that you do believe that ownership cares. The problem is, and you may be right, but the problem is the reception or the perception by the fans is that here's a guy that doesn't even speak to the media. I don't think he spoke to the media since the Mookie Betts trade. And that, if you're a fan, immediately makes you think, well, this guy obviously doesn't want to take any accountability for what's happening. At least just get out there and say, this is not good enough. We truly care, but out of his own mouth. You understand the perception that gives the fans when he doesn't do it? You may be right. He might care his heart out. He might be the freaking Care Bear for all I know. But he doesn't speak to the media. So what am I supposed to think as a fan when he doesn't make a statement about how unacceptable this all is.
So, Rich, you think if he sat there and stood on a dais that would change how much he really cares about this franchise?
I think it would change people's perception. I absolutely do. Because what do you want to hear when someone blows a game? You want to hear somebody go, man, I stunk tonight. I got to do better. This one's on me. It makes you feel that they actually understand the gravity of what's happening. And there needs to be some sort of accountability. And so, yes, my answer is, is him standing in a dais going to make me think that he cares more? Absolutely.
I don't think he cares about that at all, and I don't think he should care, frankly. I mean, look, if I were the owner of a team, I would speak, but I'm not, right? And I just think here's the real bottom line for me is that Boston is such a unique, crazy, special, passionate market, and people care so much about everything that goes right and that goes wrong. I think the world we live in today, everything you say, good, bad, or otherwise, gets totally spun and taken out of context. And I think John and all of us have had so many experiences where whatever you say is just going to be a news cycle for 2-3 weeks. And I don't understand why that matters so much to people. People should care about whether the team wins or not. Period. That's it.
Well, they're not winning, so that's why we care about the owner saying, "Well, this is unacceptable to us," and that's it, Will. And as I said, he may have the biggest heart in the world, and he might truly care, but it does go a long way. And Will, that's just coming from a guy who takes calls and listens to people, and that's what they care about. And you're so right. You speak and people twist it and they clip it, and God knows that's our industry. We try to the whole Jaylen Brown, Jason. What are they really saying? But you know what? You know what it stops? It stops people saying, "Well, that guy doesn't care because he doesn't speak." At least you can say, "Well, at least he spoke," and it might be weird what he said, but at least he's addressing the media when things go bad. And I understand what you're saying, Will. I do. But I'm just telling you how I feel and what a lot of people who are fans of this team feel.
That's why you're getting paid the big bucks to express your opinion.
That's right. But okay, on another side of things. So I like, obviously, what I saw last night. That was a fun, gritty win. I agree with you 100%. The pitching is back. It's just the pitching seems to be consistent. And you're right. That's exactly what we wanted at the beginning of the season, and they did deliver on that promise, at least up to this point. I like what I'm seeing with all these guys. Is there any hope that you have for the offense to continue? I mean, what did you just say earlier? It's like when's the last time they hit over 3 runs or whatever?
Well, no, their record, Blue had retweeted this, 14-3 when scoring 3 runs or more in their last 17.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It is strange. So, I mean, do you have any hope for this offense?
Well, they need Roman to get back. They need Contreras to get hot again. They need Duran and Story to become the players that they've been in their whole careers. That's just the bottom line. Look, I said it in the offseason. I said it on opening day. I've said it every time anybody's asked me about this. Would I have gone and got another couple proven hitters? Yes, I would have. I mean, I don't think anybody who pays attention to this team has sort of a different opinion of that. And again, it comes down to results. This is what this front office chose to do. And there are many nights, what is it now, 11 times that they've not scored more than 1 run, either 1 or no runs in 11 games. I mean, the Red Sox have played 42 games. So that part of it has been really hard to watch. Now, I thought Chad Tracy was great on the Greg Hill Morning Show today.
He was, yep.
We've gotten to know him very well. He seems to be really settling in and a great baseball man. What he said, I think, is what Craig Breslow has to rely upon in lieu of some major splash move. And that is, not everyone on the roster can stay where they are right now, where they're just way off what they've been in their career as hitters. And again, unfair or not, to me it is Duran and Story. These are the guys who have proven track records, who've been in the big leagues for years and years. I would say that one thing, if I were to quibble with sort of the projection of this team, is that you can tell me all the models you want. It's very hard to project and predict what a first or second or third year player is going to do.
Yep.
And I think there was a lot of weight put on this offense into guys who just don't yet have a huge track record of doing it at the big league level. So it's a long season. Maybe they turn the corner. Maybe guys like Caleb Durbin really, figure it out and start to hit. But there's just a lot of young guys who've not done it before, and it's really hard to depend a lot on that.
Well, Durbin's at 165, Will. I know they've dropped him down in the order, but how much longer can they keep putting him out there? Don't they have a plan B at third?
The problem is he's been awesome at third base, right? And like if you were a rolling offense, and let's say the Red Sox averaged 5 runs a game, he'd be in there every day, no doubt. Nobody'd care about it at all. I'm not saying he's Dustin Pedroia. We all know he's not Dustin Pedroia. But it's the same general idea, right? Where if you just play defense, you're okay, kid. Just stay there. And I'm telling you, watching every pitch and every inning and every game, Caleb Durbin has played a Gold Glove third base. He has. And that is valuable. The bat is not even close. And he had big hits in the playoffs last year against the LA Dodgers. He does seem to kind of have a little clutch in him based on what he did with the Brewers. But it's hard, Ken, to say like what would be the plan B, because it's sort of like addition by subtraction, kind of. Yeah. Where like, what are you gonna? There's nobody down in the minor leagues right now that is like, if Nick Sogard comes up, is that a net positive? I don't think so. I mean, Durbin's defense has been so very good. And again, it just comes back to what they planned for and sort of modeled in this offseason. They need Durbin to be the hitter that they thought he could be. And he needs to, I think personally, and I think Will and Lou and Lenny have been right with me on this, he's trying to hit too many home runs. I mean, there's just so much pull side, launch angle stuff from Caleb Durbin. That's not who he is. He's not been that guy in his career. So I'd like to see him try to maybe go the other way, a few more line drives, maybe lay down a bunt here and there. I thought the other night in the 8th inning or 9th inning, whatever it was, when he didn't bunt, that was absurd for me, when he didn't square and move the runner up after in a 1-run game to get the tying run at first base. So we'll see what the adjustments are there. But he's been so good at third base, I don't think right now in the minor leagues, barring a trade, that there's anybody who would net be a better choice.
So, Will, they playing this game tonight or not?
Oh, God, who knows? I mean, it's been off and on. I woke up this morning thinking no chance. I thought we'd be on an airplane in like an hour. But, this is one of those problems with the balanced schedule and with all these National League teams coming in here. You play them once a year. There are mutual off days that could totally work in June and July for the Phillies to come back here. I think we're learning that Major League Baseball is super reluctant to try to do that. One of the weird things about this new CBA is that the season starts earlier, ends later, and there are many more off days. And I think the Players Union and all these team reps value those off days like gold. And so when baseball and the Red Sox and the Phillies are talking about what to do tonight, I'm pretty sure that both reps are like, we're not giving up an off day on, pick a date, June 11th or whatever that is. But to me, sometimes, cooler heads need to prevail. Like, what would the Phillies rather do? Get on an airplane, get out of town, and come back here in a few weeks when it's not a big deal, or sit here for 6 hours and then maybe not even play tonight.
Right.
So who knows? It's a tough call. I'm not saying these things are black and white, but what are we going to start at 9:45 and get to Atlanta at 7 a.m.? I just don't think that's good for anybody.
That's what the forecast looks like, by the way. I don't think the rain stops until 9:45 from what I'm seeing.
Stock. Arcan, get loose.
There you go.
Arcan is just, he's doing the throat coat tea, and he's got lozenges and everything. He's ready to roll.
Absolutely. Well, Will, listen, if they do end up playing, hopefully you'll sound as excited as you were yesterday, because it really sounded like a man who had busted out of prison.
Please. I say this all the time, and I mean this. Like, I'm not going to change who I am. Like, I'm thrilled when they win. I'm not that pleased when they don't, and that's just the way I do it. I'm sorry if that offends your sensibilities, Rich.
That's my thing. I've praised you when you weren't even on here. I was like, I love that Will doesn't fake it. It's like he's kind of like the voice of the fan. Like, I'm pissed off when that happens. I'm more than pissed off. I'm just like disappointed, and that's kind of what you said. Just like, oh boy, here we go.
The truth of the matter too is, and I have to tell you this is the God's honest truth. It's just a different thing when you're around the people who do it every day.
I can see that. You got to look them in the face.
I build relationships with these people, and I want them to succeed. And if I'm ever frustrated, it's because I want them to do well, and I see the work that they put in before games and after games and all that stuff. So I'm psyched when they win, and sometimes I maybe I come off as a little bit little bit down when they don't.
I want them to win, too, because it helps our ratings. All right,
No
Will
doubt
Flemming.
about it.
Great stuff, Will. We'll continue to talk to you. And as I said, hopefully we get a game in. We shall see. But nonetheless, hopefully you're not running to the airport at I don't know when that game would end if they started at 9 o'clock or whenever it's going to be. This is ridiculous.
I'm going to take a lot of North Shore adult diapers and take them under the tarp and dry off the field. You know?
That is a plan. All right, Will Fleming, thanks for coming on, man.
Hey,
Love
Will.
having
See you
on.
guys.